Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Gateway to IT. In last video we configured data store on a locally attached hard drive on our ESXi4 server. Let me show you, and then we configured the data store on it, this one. We will be in this video we will be creating a TrueNAS VM, attach it on storage network, and configure basic settings on a TrueNAS device. In future video, we will create an iSCSI block share on our TrueNAS storage area network and format it with VMFS to utilize it as a data store to be used by our vSphere cluster. So let's proceed. Let's get started. So I'm going to File, New Virtual Machine. Click on, make sure you have the custom selected. Click on Custom, click on Next. Select the latest compatibility because I'm using VMware Workstation 17. So I've selected hardware compatibility as Workstation 17X. Click on Next. Let the option I'll install the operating system later selected. Click on Next. And here on this screen where it asks you to select the guest operating system, click on Other, and from the drop down select the FreeBSD 64 FreeBSD 1264-bit, because TrueNAS is a FreeBSD based OS. So we need to select this and then click on Next. Once we click on Next, it's asking for a place on our hard drive where we need to store the VM. So let me provide it the VM storage. So I'm storing it on one of my SSD drive, and I'm giving it the name as TrueNAS 01. That is going to be the host name for this TrueNAS device. So after providing this information, I'm clicking on Next. Here, let me give it the 2-core total 4 CPU, and it requires at least 8 gigabytes of RAM to install the TrueNAS successfully. So make sure that you meet the minimum RAM requirement for TrueNAS. Then select Next. Let it be on the use network address translation, because anyway we are going to change it once the VM is configured. Let it be LSI logic as recommended, SCSI recommended. Then on the selected disk, we need to make sure that we have created a new disk, and it at least requires 50 GB of hard drive to install the TrueNAS operating system. So I have given the size as 50 gigabyte, and I'm selecting the option store virtual disk as a single file. Once I select this, I click on Next, and on this screen I'm going to rename the disk name because this disk is going to have the TrueNAS operating system installed. So I've given it this name so that I can recognize it in the folder, and then I'm clicking on Next. Once I click on Next, it's now ready to create the virtual machine. You can review the settings you have provided and then click on Finish. So as soon as you click on Finish, the VM gets created. Once the VM gets created, I've moved it to the appropriate place where I want it to be, and then I'm selecting Edit Virtual Machine Settings, and here on the network adapter I'm going to provide it the storage area network that we want this TrueNAS device on. So once we have given that, as you can see right now, it has only got one device, one OS, one hard drive, which will contain the TrueNAS OS. In a future video or in this video, let me add some more drives to this device and come back. So I'm going to pause the video for a minute, and I'll be back with you after I have added my hard drives. While the video was paused, I have added the hard drive that we might require in order to create or test the multiple scenarios, such as creating an iSCSI share an NFS share or a SMB share. So I have attached a 10 hard drive, and each of these hard drive is of around 600 gigabytes. That's the beauty of the VM, a VM that you can attach as many hard drive as you want, and you don't have to do any expenses on it. So I've just attached to the hard drive that I require, and now I'm going to provide it the ISO so that we can begin the installation of TrueNAS. So I'm going to my drive where I've already downloaded the ISO from the from the vendor's site. So let me just select the ISO, and at the moment I'm finding it difficult to find the TrueNAS. Yeah, so here is the TrueNAS version. I'm going to install the TrueNAS 13.0 update 3.1, which is the latest for TrueNAS Core at the time of making this video. So I'm selecting this ISO and clicking on OK. And once I've done that, I need to power on the virtual machine. So as soon as I start the or power on the virtual machine, I need to hit on enter to start the installation of TrueNAS operating system. And the installation is pretty straightforward. All we need to do is to just follow the prompts. So right now, as you can see, it's asking me to make a choice if I want to install or do an upgrade, because this is a fresh installation. So I just want to continue with the installation. So I'm hitting OK. Once I hit OK, it shows the list of the drives that I have attached. So I want it to be installed on the 50 gigabytes of hard drive that we attached initially. So let me just hit spacebar to make the selection and then continue. And now it is giving me a warning that it's going to destroy any data or any partition on that hard drive, and any data will not be recoverable. So I just wanted to make sure, because I am sure that I don't have any data on that drive. So I just need to hit enter, and it will proceed with the installation. And now it's asking me to provide the password that I'll require at the time once we have the web interface or the TrueNAS to log in. So I'm giving it a password. Once I provide the password, it's asking me if I want to boot via UEFI or BIOS. I prefer to boot via BIOS. And now all we have to do is to just sit back and relax and wait for the installation to complete. So I'm pausing the video here for a moment, and once the installation is done, we'll resume again. Welcome back. So it looks like the TrueNAS installation has succeeded, and now we just need to remove the installation media and hit OK. So I'm going to hit enter. Once I hit enter, it wants me to again go back and make the choice. So I'm just selecting OK so that I can remove the media, the installation media, and then once it's set down and we have removed the media, the installation media, we will reboot this VM again. So let's wait here for a moment. So now it has shut down. I'm going to edit, and then going to the CD drive and disconnecting, and now we are just going to power it back on. So this time it will boot from the operating system disk, OS disk, on which the TrueNAS operating system was installed. So all we have to do is wait and let it come up. So as you can see, it has come back, but when we take a look at the web user interface, there is no IP addresses. So let me show you what I mean. So if you take a look at here right now, because we do not have any DHCP services running on our storage network, that's why it has come up with the .0.0 IP addresses as the HTTP web interface URL. So here we need to now configure the network interface and provide it an IP address. So let me just do that. So I need to select inside the VM and then press the option 1, It asks us to select the network card we have attached. So we only have one network card attached at the moment. So I'm making the selection as one. It asks me if I want to remove the current setting. I don't, because I don't have any any settings set on this TrueNAS machine at the moment. So I'm just replying it as no and hit enter. I don't want to configure the DHCP on this interface. Configure IPv4, yes, and the interface name is EM0, and now it gives us an option to provide the IP address. So the IP address scheme as per our plan is 10. Oh, let me turn on the numlock key. 10.1.1.11, and the subnet mask is 24-bit. So let me provide the subnet mask. Since we are working on IPv4 networks, we don't need to configure the IPv6. So I'm giving it as no. And now you can see that it is now configured with the URL which we can try to access using the IP address. So let me go back to the admin workstation and try to access the URL. So on my admin workstation, let me type HTTP and the IP address of our TrueNAS uh, device. So if I hit enter, I'm sure that it's going to fail because we do not have port 80 configured on our Pfsense firewall. So there we need to make a change there. So let me log into my Pfsense firewall and log in as admin. Go to the firewall section, go to rules, and on the storage network one, I need to make sure that I have a rule or a rule created so that I can actually access it from the management network. Since this is going to be a lab environment, so what I'm intending to do, I'm just going to open all and every port between the storage and the management network. So therefore, I'm just deleting this rule. Once I delete this rule, I now need to click on add and select pass on the storage network, storage interface, IPv4, TCP network. Any source network is going to be the storage 1 network, so I'm selecting storage net, and the destination network is going to be our management network, so I'm selecting management network. And you can see that for the rule or for any port, I'm just leaving it blank, so it means any. I can just make it any, so it should be able to communicate on the management network on any port. So let me just mention allow any traffic between any traffic from TRG1 to Mgmt 0. So I hit OK, and you can now see that it has allowed. It has created the rule. I don't even need the ICMP rule because now I'm allowing any traffic, so I can just go ahead and remove this one and then click on apply. And now when I try to access the URL of our TrueNAS device .1.1.11, I should be able to get a response, but again I think there is one more thing that we need to configure. We need to go back to our TrueNAS device and we need to actually configure the default route. So let me just hit the option 4 and hit enter and select yes, and the default route, if you remember, is 10.1.1.254. No need to configure for the IPv6. Hit enter, and now we go back to our admin workstation. Let's try to access it. We need to make another port arrangement. So we need to copy this rule to the management network, and here make it management network, and here make it the storage network, and just reverse it. So what we have done, we have allowed the traffic from the management network to the storage network, any traffic between the management and the storage networks. I need to bring it up so that this rule is evaluated first, otherwise it will not work. So let me now try to access it and see if it works. Yep, after making the changes, we are able to access the web interface of our TrueNAS device. That looks good. Let me now try to log in with the root account and the password that we provided, and we are now able to log in. So I don't want this video to be long enough so that you get bored. So let me do this. Let me just end this video here, and in the next video we will configure our TrueNAS device. Just one more thing I would like to mention here, that if you think I'm providing value and you like my work, so please like, share, and subscribe to my channel and share it with your colleagues. Thank you, and you have a great day.